The Amazonian mother, pains in thorns, cries out blood as she sees her own maimed and wasted. Her joy of childbirth turns out bloody. While we may not be able to feel the weight of the pain of what the Amazonian mother is carrying all through, we do know that recognizing her this day would mean a lot of hope for her. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, love leaves a memory no one can steal. For our love for you, Mama, we will beat Cameroon out of Amazonia. We will win the war. Sooner than later your tears of agony will suddenly become tears of melody. Happy Mother's Day, Mother Amazonia.
Walk from dusk to dawn, but a woman's work is never done. Undoubtedly, moms deserve to be celebrated because they are always putting others ahead of themselves. Mother's Day is the perfect opportunity to stop and reflect on all of her hard work. Of course, Mother's Day isn't just a day for celebrating your own mother. It's a day for honoring all women in your life who support and nurture you, from your sister to your grandmother. It's also a chance to wish a happy Mother's Day to the mothers in Amazonia who are bearing the brunt of the war. Sometimes, the best way to thank Mother Amazonia is with a simple and heartfelt message. Not all of us can write like Shakespeare, and it can be difficult to put our feelings into words. That's why we're calling on all women, men, old, young to say Happy Mother's Day by getting a copy of the book Echoes of Women's Tears. Echoes of Women's Tears is one platform where the Amazonian woman gets some closure from the pain of losing their own in the senseless war. Echoes of Women's Tears, a 21st century genocide in the former British Southern Cameroons. Get your copy today.
The Amazonian mother, pains in thorns, cries out blood as she sees her own maimed and wasted. Her joy of childbirth turns out bloody. While we may not be able to feel the weight of the pain of what the Amazonian mother is carrying all through, we do know that recognizing her this day would mean a lot of hope for her. Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, love leaves a memory no one can steal. For our love for you, Mama, we will beat Cameroon out of Amazonia. We will win the war. Sooner than later your tears of agony will suddenly become tears of melody. Happy Mother's Day, Mother Amazonia.
A man may walk from dusk to dawn, but a woman's work is never done. Undoubtedly, moms deserve to be celebrated because they are always putting others ahead of themselves. Mother's Day is the perfect opportunity to stop and reflect on all of her hard work. Of course, Mother's Day isn't just a day for celebrating your own mother. It's a day for honoring all women in your life who support and nurture you, from your sister to your grandmother. It's also a chance to wish a happy Mother's Day to the mothers in Amazonia who are bearing the brunt of the war. Sometimes, the best way to thank Mother Amazonia is with a simple and heartfelt message. Not all of us can write like Shakespeare, and it can be difficult to put our feelings into words. That's why we're calling on all women, men, old, young to say Happy Mother's Day by getting a copy of the book Echoes of Women's Tears. Echoes of Women's Tears is one platform where the Amazonian woman gets some closure from the pain of losing their own in the senseless war. Echoes of Women's Tears, a 21st century genocide in the former British Southern Cameroons. Get your copy today.
The Amazonian mother, pains in thorns, cries out blood as she sees her own, maimed and wasted. Her joy of childbirth turns out bloody. While we may not be...
Right, and sincerest apologies for that break in transmission, but you know we will not go until we are done with this weekly briefing with Dr. Martin Mungwa. I'm sure that he is ready to continue from where he stopped. Stay.
Just before the break, he mentioned a few things and stated that if the La Republic du Cameroon had the power, they would divide us into even 1,000,000 parts, 1,000,000 divisions. That was an interesting discussion right there. I'd like him to continue if he's still here with us in the studio.
Definitely, definitely. Dr. Martin Mungwa goes nowhere. I'm sure he's there. I can see him.
I'd like to have you back, Dr. Mungwa, sir.
Okay, thank you, Staff Smart and Onya Okpala. I'm happy that you're able to identify exactly where the transmission broke off. So I'm going to continue from that paragraph moving forward. We say divided colony because French Cameroon would love to divide us into 100 parts to conquer the Colonial acquisition. The unelected governors, internal security apparatus, and intelligence officers will all be francophones down to the bilingual teacher in primary school, as has been the case since 1972. These appointed francophone spies spy on our people and report to Yaoundé. We also want to remind Amazonians of the evil plan of France to partition our country, Amazonia, between the west and littoral regions of French Cameroon, under a claim that the northwest is part of Bafoussam and that the southwest is part of Douala. This is La République du Cameroun denying that we are a people with a right to self-government and is the equivalent of the biblical Cain who killed his brother Abel on his own property. French Cameroon is the real Manogo, backed, armed with guns. By this colonial plan, fellow Amazonians, the remaining Anglo-Saxon inheritance will be wiped off in few generations to deliver a French-speaking country under French imperial dominion, and without any evidence that our people will be better off in the Francophonie. As a matter of historical record, no other country has ever emerged as an industrial power in the Francophonie besides metropolitan France. We mean France, Belgium, and parts of Switzerland that speak French. The planned destruction of Amazonian cultural inheritance is not my opinion. It is the conclusion of the French newspaper Le Monde in Paris in an article published on January the 24th, 2017. Le Monde newspaper observed in bold print that Paul Biya is continuing the project of cultural annihilation or destruction, which was started by Ahmadou Ahidjo with one aim: to wipe out all remnants of the Anglo-Saxon cultural heritage in our country and replace it with French. Ask yourself why the late President Ahidjo changed the name of Victoria to Limbe while keeping monuments of French leaders in his country, French Cameroon. This secret project is driven by selfish political calculation by Mr. Paul Biya to win favor with the French presidency, where the desire for resources in Amazonia, like hardwoods, petroleum, bananas, cocoa, coffee, and our labor for free, is on high demand. This destructive project was started by Ahmadou Ahidjo and will be pursued by all Francophone presidents, including the future Maurice Kamtos of this world. All of them, including Paul Biya, Maurice Kamto, and the rest who study in France without paying tuition and are beneficiaries of the December 26, 1959 recolonization treaty with France, cannot bite the hand that feeds them. Fellow Ambazonians, our country and our people have become a commodity for Francophone presidents of Cameroon to trade with France under the December 1959 Franco-Cameroon Treaty, in the same way that our country became a commodity for England to trade with France to upkeep the Entente Cordiale Treaty of April 1904. In French Cameroon's case, the president in Yaoundé is always looking for something to give France in order to stay in power forever. By proving this wickedness to hold Ambazonians down through killing us mercilessly, Paul Biya gives France the authority to confiscate our natural resources. At this time, France confiscates 50% of the earnings of all Cameroon exports from Ambazonia, including cocoa, coffee, bananas, gold, and tea. Even though our leaders never signed any cooperation treaty with France, France na big thief man. A World Bank report issued in 2011 by two investigators from Canada, namely Albert Zofak at the World Bank and Bernard Gauthier of the School of Higher Commercial Studies in Montreal, Quebec, stated that 54% of the billions of US dollars earned from the sales of Ambazonian crude oil are missing, believed, looted. France alone stole 50%, amounting to more than $35 billion or 21,000 billion of francs CFA. This money is enough to tar every road in Ambazonia and put a high elevation water tank in every town. Think of cholera being abolished and every child being safe in a good classroom. Our country, Ambazonia, has a land surface of 16,490 square miles. On the land area scale of countries in the world, the British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia occupies the 131st position out of 195 countries in the United Nations organization. Ambazonia has a surface area between Denmark and the Netherlands. Ambazonia is bigger than either Denmark, Switzerland, Bhutan, Taiwan, Guinea-Bissau, Belgium, Lesotho, Equatorial Guinea, or Rwanda, and is bigger than 24 other member nations of the United Nations organization. We of this no-surrender generation have embarked on a crusade to break the logjam, to secure our freedom from Imperial France, and to grant our children a future free of colonial strings, the Almighty God permitting. This is because we are a United Nations people entitled to self-government. This is because we are a United Nations people entitled to self-government. We're promised self-government in the United Nations Trusteeship Agreement. The promise was validated in United Nations Resolution 1514 in 1960 and reaffirmed in Decision 266/03 of the African Court of People and Human Rights in 2003. In Decision 266/03, African jurors denied to entertain the propaganda of La République du Cameroun that we are not a people and that we belong to her Bamileke or Bassa peoples. Decision 266 through stroke 03 in paragraphs 170 to 172 stated that we are a people because of our common territory, a common colonial experience, common educational system, and common legal system, all arising from a common colonial experience connected to Great Britain between 1850 and 1884 and 1916 to 1961. We also want to assert that the people of Southern Cameroon never signed a continuation of colonialism pact or a cooperation pact with France. This European imperial power, France, is not authorized to take away 50% of the foreign earnings on exports arising from Ambazonia. Let this be known to the inner sanctum of Champs-Élysées that Ambazonia is telling France to cease and desist with immediate effect. Let us be very clear. The people of Ambazonia have a vested interest in both the English language as an inalienable colonial inheritance and a vested interest in the people of France as trading partners in an interconnected world. We solemnly reject neocolonialism in all forms, including the expropriation or taking away of our resources in a controversial technique developed by Imperial France in the Republic of Haiti, and now applied in African countries that speak French. It is a price too high to pay and worthy not of a war, but a suit at the International Court of Justice for just reparations and restitution. Again, we repeat, neither Emil Endele, Django Foncha, Augustin Gomjoa, or any Southern Cameroon leader signed any treaty entitling France to take away 50% of the foreign earnings of Ambazonia through French Cameroon. The capacity of British Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia to continue developing politically, economically, and technologically for the benefit of 8 million Africans and mankind while rotating political leadership through the ballot box in peace goes back to 1961. The capacity of our democratic processes in 1961 surpassed that of French Cameroon in 2022, where a sit-tight dictator is trying to have his son to succeed him as head of state of a republic. And at the same time, a foreign embassy is on standby waiting to deploy foreign troops into the country, bypassing the cabinet, the House of Assembly, and the Senate. Fellow Ambazonians, fellow compatriots, our battle lines are drawn. How do we defend ourselves? This interim government exists because it legitimately, by agreement, restores the government of Augustin Gomjoa. We are launching the 2022 draft this weekend to raise money for self-defense of our homeland. Our country, Ambazonia, is run from exile by 61 local government areas, LGAs, in 13 counties, chairmen, namely Fako, Meme, Kupe, Manengoba, Manyu, Libielem, Momo, Mezam, Ngokitunja, Boyo, Donga Mantum, Menchum, and Bui. The interim government is asking you in the diaspora to support your LGA financially. And by donating your skills to LGAs, every son and daughter of Ambazonia is called to donate $1,000 to your LGA annually until we get to Boya. The money helps us to evangelize the invaders to a dose of good manners, take care of the wounded and the sick at the home front. The interim government under Dr. Sako is defensive. It does not seek an inch of La République du Cameroun territory. The IG demands that La République du Cameroun retreats to its boundary at independence, which is also filed at the United Nations. Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia has no treaty of union with French Cameroon. United Nations Resolution 1541 demands that when a federation fails, the parties conduct talks and may hold a referendum to resolve all claims peaceful and then separate. This war of independence restoration has been launched by French Cameroon to defeat Ambazonia militarily and take our land. Arata, the Dana chop. Please, Ambazonians, join us this weekend to draft like there is no tomorrow. The Ambazonian Restoration Forces depend on our financial sacrifices. Let us end by giving an Amba County's 13-gun salute to our gallant Ambazonian Independence Restoration Forces. Their sacrifices of blood and suffering is seared on silicon and shall never be forgotten for 1,000 years. Long live the people of Ambazonia. Short live our walk to freedom. Over to you, ladies.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if can you hear me, Dr.
Yes, I
Mungwa?
can. 5 and 5. Yes.
I hope our technicians are not sleeping again. Congratulations, you're doing a good job. Dr. Mungwa, I would have preferred that you take the first line since we're recording this very vital information you gave. The very first part before Star Smart ushered you in so that we have it
Oh,
recorded. You just take it while we are on screen right now, and then we now move into this very important subject of the controversy coming in from purported fake Cameroon and
okay.
the rejoinder from Nigeria, and so that we
Right.
can progress with the discussion for today. Amazonians that are watching on the social media, on Facebook and on YouTube, I want you to inform somebody that the Secretary of State for Communications and IT is live and that they can call in within the next minutes to make a contribution or ask their questions. We'll be bringing up the phone line in a few minutes as the Secretary of State communicates to us. Dr. Mungwa, over to you, please.
Right. Let me read the first part of this draft 2022. Stop France's economic thievery of Amazonian resources. Dear Amazonians and the international community, we come to you today to talk about the 2022 Amazonian War Draft, which is starting this weekend of June the 3rd. Let me first explain to you some of the willful intentions why French Cameroon abandoned our once beautiful Federal Republic of Cameroon with their country, La République du Cameroun. As far as we are concerned, our country has gone through 4 name changes from the British Southern Cameroons at independence in 1961 to West Cameroon under the French or under the Federal Republic of Cameroon to Northwest and Southwest provinces under the United Republic of Cameroon, and now mere Noso, divided colonial colony occupied by La République du Cameroun military, unelected civilian leaders and intelligence officers. So that's the first part of my message, which I gave, and I continued on the paragraph, the next paragraph below. Is that satisfactory?
I think it is very, very satisfactory. And
Yeah.
right now, before we get into the question, you've followed the the commentaries and reports in regards to Mundi's release, which I may want you to comment on that last. But first, we woke up yesterday to get a heartbreaking report. A report
Yes.
we understood that it was a frame up, a calculated lie, but fortunately, major Nigerian newspapers have come to debunk that whatsoever was going about the place from the fake Cameroon media and from the so-called Sahara reporters was just false. I understand you have a statement in that regard as per the
That's
government
correct.
position. Please go right ahead.
Right. Okay. So this is the statement by the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, on the false allegation concerning killings in Cross River State and neighboring Nigeria. It has been brought to the attention of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia that allegedly Cameroonian separatists invaded and killed at least 20 persons, including refugees, in Cross River State in neighboring Nigeria. Quoting from the Guardian Post Daily, published in Yaoundé on May 31st, 2022, Amba fighters invaded Nigeria or they invade Nigeria, kill over 20 in Cross River State. However, news outlets in Nigeria are debunking this allegation. In The Guardian, a Nigerian publication of May 30th, 2022, the police command in Cross River State referred to the allegation as a spurious and subversive claim. The command, through its public relations officer, Irene Ukbo, in a statement, advised residents to disregard the claims. Below is an excerpt from the Guardian post on the matter. The command hereby advises members of the public to disregard this information currently trending on social media platforms as it was subversive. Measures are being taken to review the source of this distasteful information intended to spread fear and panic, Ugbo said in the statement. Consequent upon the above, the police command hereby warns the respective bloggers, online operators, to always cross check facts with established authorities before sending such unverified information for public consumption. Finally, the police command is resolute in discharging her statutory functions in collaboration with other sister agencies to keep the state peaceful and safe at all times. In another news outlet called Punch, the same allegation was discredited. Additionally, we have learned that more than 500 refugees from Ambazonia have fled into the Bashu community in Boki LGA. We don't know if this is a result of the allegations, but we intend to investigate the source of this outrageous claim. In the meantime, we hope that UNHCR will provide some assistance to our displaced refugees. With regard to the claim, it should be noted that Ambazonia is home to over 500,000 Nigerians, and we have never attacked any since the beginning of the war with La République du Cameroon. Presently, there are more than 60,000 registered Ambazonian refugees, as well as hundreds of thousands of others unregistered in Nigeria. These refugees are our grandparents, parents, brothers, sisters, and children, and there's absolutely no rationale for any of our ARFs to attack those who have provided our desperate and embattled people a temporary haven away from Ambazonia. We call on the Nigerian government to investigate this matter thoroughly so that justice can be served. It should be recalled that an attack carried out on the people of Taraba State in November 2021 was prematurely attributed to separatist forces, but further investigations pointed to Paul Biya's genocidal forces, BIA of French Cameroon, La République du Cameroon, as the perpetrators of the attack, resulting in deaths. The intention of the enemy, French Cameroon, is planning and carrying out raids and killings in neighboring Nigerian localities. Is it to induce the federal government of Nigeria to take a more aggressive policy towards our liberation struggle to the advantage of the enemy? Once more, we want to reassure the federal government of Nigeria and the peace-loving people of Nigeria that our liberation forces, the ARFs, have no interest whatsoever in attacking any neighboring locality in Nigeria. We continue to appreciate the hospitality of the people of Nigeria towards our refugees. We are also grateful to the Nigerian press for sharing our story in the past few months. We hope they continue to do so for the sake of truth and justice, especially at this time when the worst genocide so far in the 21st century is being classified as the least covered by the international press. Thank you, Paddy. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Mungwa. I understand that. Can you hear
It's a
me?
rejoiner, yes. Yes, I can hear
Perfect.
you.
I
Mhm.
understand that we are able to connect with the ladies. They had to take a short break. They have been there for some time with the nose. So I had to fill in the gap. They're back. But I'm going to take the first two questions. They're going to interchangeably take some questions, and then we will take calls from the public. It is quite important that we do it this way. I'm sure they have wonderful questions for you. I want to distract us a little bit and you have always come up with these narratives over and over again. I want us to talk. My first question would be on the government position vis-a-vis this accusation. I would say false allegation. Unfortunately, Nigerian media has debunked it. The government position is outrightly clear, distancing herself from whatever decision or whatever information is circulating out there. But then, is government position going to be limited on just the communique or whatever you have just read now, or will the government proactively take or make measures or take actions like they did last year when Mr. Chu Ayaba, uh, for whatever reason, went into irrational dealings with the I know that the
Yes,
Amazonian government, the rightful representation of the people,
yes.
is
Thank
distancing
you, Paddy.
herself from every activity.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Paddy.
go
I think
ahead.
that's a very valid. Yes, thank you, Paddy. That's a very valid question. As you remember, during the incident of 2021, November to be exact, the president actually came on air and were able to have an interview or a press conference with the Nigerian press corps. And that was a very, very useful occasion because I think for the first time, President Sako actually introduced himself to the Nigerian press corps, and I think now they sort of they sort of they broke the ice. So now there's I think there's a sort of free flow of information between Ambazonia and the Nigerian press. But putting that aside, I think there will be an official statement sent to the international community, signed by the Secretary of State of Communication. Um, I mean, at least to alert the international community of this tactic that La Republique is actually using, with the hope that Nigeria is going to support them, since they have completely failed in their campaign to destroy the ARFs. It is very clear that you can see that this is a desperate people. It's a desperate people. They are trying to use every means possible in order to beat us. But they know that whatever they have in their arsenal is not enough. It's not enough. And they're well aware of this. And that's why you can see that they are even going into illegality. They're actually crossing international boundaries in order to seek help, but seek help in a disguised manner. Isn't it so logical that if we have our refugees in Nigeria, we will make sure that we never make the Nigerian authorities unhappy with us? Why would we have that interest to cross over to Nigeria to kill the Nigerians? It does not make sense. I mean, it's one of these things that we see La Republique demonstrating that they are completely lost. They are completely lost because there is only one option for La Republique to solve this problem: go to Switzerland. That is the solution. They have to go to Switzerland to resolve this matter. It's not going through Nigeria and killing our civilians. And I mean, do they think that we are so dumb that we will put on ARF uniforms, cross over to Nigeria, kill people, and come back? What is the rationale behind that? What is the basis?
What gain?
Nobody. Nobody understands that but La Republique. And it's very clear what the intent is. I don't know whether their foolishness is served as a suppository. I've never seen such a bunch of dumb people. Why are these people thinking this way? If it's not pure desperation. Over to you, Patty.
Yes, I think I'll suspend my second question for now. I think maybe Star Smart or Nye should take the next question. I'll suspend my second question for now. And I'll only take it later on. Please, you can over to you, ladies.
Well, I was going to ask what La Republique du Cameroon intended with framing ARFs, but with your answer to Mr. Tar's question, that already answered mine. And it's just a good thing to say that the whole frame had been debunked already by some news reporters from Nigeria. Only, do you have a
Thank you.
question?
Thank you. It's true.
Yes, of course. Dr. Mungwa, nice to have you here again. Another great Tuesday to interact with Ambazonians in diaspora and, of course, in the home front already. I can remember way back when the issue of the kidnap of Madam Regina Mundi came out. You know, you, during the weekly briefing like this, you made statements and the interim government's position as well. Now, in our bulletin today, we reported the contradictions between Ayabacho, La Republique du Cameroon, et al. I mean, contradicting themselves. And it goes a long way to prove that Ambazonians, we are on the right track. I don't know if you would want to also talk about it today, because it was our major story today in our bulletin.
Absolutely. I think, again, one thing about the interim government, as I said on last Saturday, is consistency. Whenever there is an issue, we don't just come out screaming. We do our research. We make sure that we connect all the dots. We make sure that all the allegations are corroborated before we go on the air. And again, we have demonstrated that Cho Ayaba is working with La Republique. We have had independent confirmation. Remember the white lady, whether she was British or American, who came and did an investigative reporting on the connections between Choya Ayaba through Ellie Smith and La Republique military. And she came on air and said it. Look, La Republique, they seem to have a very short memory. If they are using cell phones to communicate, it goes through satellites. Means that whatever they've been doing behind the scene is being picked up. We told this thing a long time ago. When the time of reckoning will come, they will see their facts in front of them. So let them not think that just by wearing ARF is enough to indict the Ambazonian Restoration Forces. They will go into technology and they'll be able to prove to La Republique that ADF and the bill, they're one and the same person. That is a fact. Everybody knows it except La Republique du Cameroon. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They think that they are so smart that just by painting a name, can you imagine? Look at those the so-called bill soldiers. These people, they behave as if this is a movie. They create a scene and they come out like James Bond trying to prove how powerful they are. But the moment they ask them to go for ARFs, they run like chickens. They are brainless. They have no courage whatsoever. That is consistent even with France, whether it's the First World War or the Second World War. They sat on the table as victors when they never defeated any army. It's the same genetic structure of the Francophone. They're all the same. Everybody knows that. A country that never won a war. Same goes to La Republique. It's theater, nothing else. Over to you.
Indeed, with this last
That's
one,
amazing.
proving
I want to
their
come back.
affiliation with one another.
Okay.
Except you have another question, Onyi.
Not really.
Okay, so we'll just hand over to
Okay.
Mr. Tapadi King.
Yeah, I want us to get back into the draft and discuss very closely about the draft for this evening. You have talked extensively about it, and I think I was impressed. Maybe you just would want to, before we get there, I believe the ladies want to be very structural. They should have some questions go looking in regards to the draft. But then let's handle this issue of Cho Ayaba once again and on once and for all for tonight. This is Mr. Cho Ayaba and his team with La Republique du Cameroon in less than 24 hours sending contradictory messages. What his spokesperson said is totally different from what he said. Why do you really think Dr. Mungwa, that Show Ayaba and Cameroon will desperately present a very poor movie. The cinema was poorly scripted, poorly acted, and even poorly broadcasted. Why will they go this? How could they go stoop this low, and why?
Because it is part of a narrative. And it's not today that script was done. It's part of a narrative. And one thing that you have to understand about the Francophone structure, or La République in particular, they are not accustomed to agile management. They will never change in the middle of the road if they see that there are problems. They will keep going until they crash. This is a script that they had done a long time ago, and they're trying to follow it up so that it gives a certain narrative. Now that it is very clear that it's not working, they do not have the mental capacity to think that they have to change because they don't know how to change. It's just like the Council of Foreign Relations called the BR regime is ossified. It's all everything is come to a screeching stop. They don't know what to do. So when they have a script, that's all they've got. They will follow it no matter what. Do you remember in the days of the so-called Liberation Communautaire, what the book that supposedly Bia wrote on communal liberalism? It came to a point where everybody understood that the government was corrupt, but they keep on selling that book, knowing very well that it was a lie. It took them maybe 10 or 20 years to realize that that book did not make sense. That is a typical ossified structure. They are not, it's not easy to change because, first of all, they don't have the intellectual capacity to recognize it, and they don't have the intellectual capacity to make that change. Because since independence, they've just been taking orders from the French. Tell them, what do we do today? They send orders from Paris and they follow. There is no room for improvisation. They cannot improvise because they don't know how to do it. Can you imagine that in 2022, even the list of ministers have to be approved by France? This war is being run from Paris. Every day, the minister gets an email on what to do. And that's why they are never innovative. I'm sure it's the French who taught them how to do that. So now that they are caught up, they don't know what to do. They are confused. But our military commanders, when they get to a challenge, they change because we are agile performers. Right up the military command and among the soldiers on the field. We have the ability to change. They cannot. And that's what they've been doing with Choyaba. And Choyaba is no different from the La Republique, because if he understood how corrupt and how ossified La Republique was, he wouldn't take the route that he has taken. Desperation. Over to you, buddy.
Yes, Mr. Tam mentioned the fact that we need to also talk about the Award 22. And initially we had Nijo talk about that earlier in our news bulletin, but I believe that no publicity is enough, or any publicity can be too much. And so I'm just thinking, and I just want to find out, you know, as a government spokesperson, what are the challenges that you would have to you would have had to deal with as regards to this award? Now, why I'm asking is because Nijo mentioned the fact that some draft members who probably drafted last year may be scared of drafting this year because of their inability to pay last year's draft. And he says, look, you all forget about it and come this year and draft again. So I'm just asking, are there any other challenges that you think that Ambazonians may be looking at that could be cleared even more as a government spokesperson?
Right. I think I would like to, at least to say here, that I totally support the position that Nijo took. I would like to believe that When we come to drafting, they should take each county at a time, and they should look into the internal challenges that they have. These challenges may not be universal to the entire Amazonia, but I think it's important that something like this, they should be able to address them at a local level. But having said that, one of the reasons why the interim government did this write-up today, which was very specific, it's to appeal to the inner conscience of Amazonians. So this draft, it goes further than just kicking La Republic out of our territory. It goes to make sure that we don't give 50% of our resources to France for free. If you think just about that alone, that if you go to the market, you sell your goods for 1,000 francs. Can you imagine that somebody will come stand next to you and say, give me 500 francs. I need that 500 francs. I begin to wonder, why do I have to give you 500 francs? Say, oh, because you are using my language. That person doesn't factor in the cost of you producing that material. It doesn't factor in the cost of bringing that the commodity to the market. It doesn't even factor in some of the other what do I call the operation and maintenance? I mean, or operation costs that it took before you actually brought it to market. Can you imagine all those debts are in you? And yet he will come there and stretch his hand and take 50%. That is what France is doing to Amazonia. That is why we have to pay this draft and make sure that we kick La Republic out of Amazonia. It's not just the fact that we have to take them out. It has even a more deeper reason why we have to do it. The money that was stolen from Amazonia, as reported by the World Bank, we could tar all the roads in Amazonia. We could put an elevation tank for water to all the cities in Amazonia. Think about that. Just think about it. $1,000 is a small price to pay. I have already paid my draft. So we should all understand this. It's all about the collective survival of our nation. So those who may not even be actively involved in running the LGAs, in running the counties, please, if you can give that $1,000, that will go a long way. That's what I'm here to talk to you about. And that's what the message from the interim government is all about today. You have to understand what is in the belly of this of this struggle. What is in the belly of this fight is to make sure that you don't go to the market, you sell for 1,000 francs, you come back with 500 francs. And out of that 500 francs, you are still in debt. Had you returned home with 1,000 francs, maybe you'll make a profit of 300 francs. But you've already given 50% to somebody else. How can that happen? Why should we accept that? And that goes to all the elite in Yaoundé who think that they are defending Amazonia by making false statements about the Amazonian Restoration Forces. When you have people like Philemon Yang, who goes out and says that the ARS are oppressors, he should go and tell the Senate in America, the American Senate, that we are oppressors. And they pull Senate Resolution 684 and ask him, what does that mean? Where on that document does it show that we are a repressive force? They should go to the British Parliament and ask a question. They should go to the European Parliament and ask a question. They should go to the African Union and ask the same question. And find out who is the real oppressor. It is La Republique. And they are supporting a government that is repressing its own people. What's wrong with these people? How loud do we have to talk for these people to understand the crime that is being committed by this government, La Republique du Cameroon? Over to you.
Yes, Dr. Mungwa, I could feel the passion, and I'm sure that Ambazonians are connecting with the passion of which you are expressing yourself this evening. All right, like I said, we will continue to talk about the draft until we have drafted enough.
Indeed.
Now, what exactly is government expecting? I mean, we are going to do our best. What is government's expectation after the draft? I mean, we've had draft 1, draft 2, draft 3. What is the government's expectations?
It is very simple, Onye. Every year, when we draft, we have certain objectives to meet in terms of providing resources to the ARFs, in terms of supporting the refugees at ground one. So it is very clear that these refugees, some of them who have not been registered with UNHCR, do not have the means of survival. And we have demonstrated many times that we actually go to Nigeria to feed the refugees. It is part of our burden as the interim government. And of course, we hope to use some of this finance in order to push diplomacy. Diplomacy is like the motor, is the engine that is driving this train. Okay? We have to work with our international partners. We have to make sure that the story is told. We have to meet the people who are going to make it possible for us to sit at the table with La République du Cameroon and bring this problem to a close. So there's nothing hidden about the draft. There's nothing hidden about it. And every year we go through the same process until when we reach Boya. So that's what the draft is for. I don't want to go into the detail of some of the strategic decisions that the interim government has taken in terms of the supply chain issues that we have been able to resolve, and in terms of the cost management issues that we are working on, because this draft, there are a lot of moving parts. And one of the accomplishments, if I may say so, that we'll be able to do this time is that we have put together a platform that the coup plotters cannot get their itchy fingers to. They should keep their itchy fingers in their own pockets, not in ours. And thank God that we have, they've been sued. So they have to explain and bring back all the money that they took away. So I can let Ambazonians know that the accounts are safe. The platforms that will be displayed on the screen and sent to you by whatever means, these platforms are safe. Your money can go there and be reassured that they will be put to the right use. I hope I've answered your question. Over to you.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Your sound, please. Your volume is low.
Expository and well explained. And in regards to what you said about every Ambazonian's expectation, what every Ambazonia is expected to do, what do we expect on Saturday, 22nd, as the SOS for Communications and IT? I believe you have a brief rundown of what's going to happen, what is on our own part necessary for us to know on Saturday, our word 22 on Saturday.
Well, right, I do my best to give you a rundown. But one thing that we also have to understand is that we launched the next Saturday, we are going to launch it officially, but it doesn't mean that it has not started already. We are encouraging people to, of course, pay in their draft, but we want to see a huge turnout on Saturday. It is very important because it's a demonstration of our collective will to put our resources together in order to drive away the enemy. So, in as much as some people might have already paid, I paid mine, it doesn't mean that I will not be there. We all have to come on Saturday so that the world can see that we are serious about what is happening in Ambazonia. That is very clear. So, cabinet members, members of the Interim House of Representatives, I'm sure the president will be there, and all the local officials in LGAs and counties, and Ambazonians and even friends of Ambazonians, we really encourage you and we really request that you should be part of this big opening. So that is the message I want to send to everybody. It is going to be a very, very important event. And believe me, by the end of the day, everybody will be happy to have been taking part in this wonderful event. Over to you,
All
ladies.
right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mungwa. Mr. Ta, should we display the numbers right about now?
Yes, there are two questions that have not been asked, which I think is important for us to handle. The first question I want to ask is for you to tell us how, as a spokesperson, how is the cabinet and other arms of government preparing towards Saturday?
Oh yes, I think the cabinet has already displayed the names of all the cabinet members, and we've already started drafting. Quite a huge cross section of the cabinet have already paid in the draft, and it's already displayed. And I would think that that is the best thing to do, so that we can show the world that it is not just sort of a gimmick. We are not joking about this, and we go by example. We show that the draft is important. Some have even uh, drafted twice the amount, some even three times the amount. So it shows the dedication that the cabinet has as far as the draft is concerned. As I mentioned earlier, I already drafted. So I cannot come here and talk about people drafting when I have not. That will be that will be a lie, and it will show my own character. Remember when Elvis Cometa was the head of the Restoration Council and he could not even pay the draft. You have Chris Ano, who will make so much noise about everybody else, but he cannot pay the draft. And you have, tons of them. All they did was to talk, no action. And yet they felt that Ambazonians were fools to give them money. You can see what is happening to the coup plotters. They can't even put together $500. Okay? So it shows you what these people were out for. Thank God that they left us. Thank God. We are a robust group. We are a group that is incorruptible. And we are here to demonstrate to Ambazonians that we are here to take them to Boya. And we are serious about it. And we are not doing it for any reason other than the fact that we have an interest, a stake in that part of the world. That is our real estate that God gave to us. We own it, and we will do everything to take it from people who want to take it away from us. That is it. Okay? And I hope that everyone understands this. Over to you, Paddy.
All right, Dr. Mungwa, in regards to everybody's participation and support of our move from where we are to Boya, we understand the changes faced by the Treasury. How secure is the platform that has put in place to avoid coup plotters thievery? How secure is the platform?
It is very, very secure. I think the fact that the coup plotters have been sued, they will be extremely dumb to say that they want to come and do something stupid again. By the way, they won't be able to have access to the electronic whatever, anything of that nature. So it will sound really silly that they would even think about it. I think they should be thinking about hiring a good lawyer that can help them, help them, give them lower sentences after they have reimbursed us of all the money they stole. I think I would strongly advise them that it will make more sense for them to get good lawyers. If at all there's any lawyer to take the case, some lawyers may just turn it down. But for those who are lucky enough to find some lawyers, I think they should be looking how to save themselves from going to jail. I think that's the best thing. And for those who are in complicity, I just want to take this equation, and thanks for reminding me that it is not over yet. I come from a fishing town or a fishing village. If you want to catch, if you don't want to catch that much fish, you can go with a liner, and each time you plug one. We could have done that by taking Cristiano alone to court. It's like, but we felt that we are professional fishermen. You go with a net, so you cast that net and you catch everything, and that's exactly what we did. We went and we cast our net and we caught everything from crabs to turtle to anything that was on our way. That's what we did, and we caught all of them. So that's the technique. So let people understand that. So there's still some in that net. We haven't started doing our triage. You know what triage is? We're still selecting. So those who are complicit, those who want to go behind the scene and do an audit of the interim government, of using documents from the Ambazonian Foundation and so on, to show the coup plotters that, oh, Dr. Sako has stolen money, of course, which is faulty, which is a false, because Dr. Sako doesn't even have a name in the treasury. He's not a signatory to any document. So how they'll be able to do that is still, the thickness of my imagination. Let them go ahead and do it and see what is going to happen. I tell you that these people are so stupid. You think that they are being served with a suppository. Something is being given to them to stay that stupid. But when you listen to some of the cabinet meetings they have, they keep talking about, oh, go and look for hardcore evidence. You go and audit the treasury. Which treasury? Which treasury? It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing how these people think. Anyway, that's where we are. We are very certain about the platforms that we're going to present to the Ambazonian people, and they should rest assured that the money that they give us will be in good hands. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mungwa. Now, you talked about, is it triage? Those who are still...
Triage.
Yes, you're still selecting. And I'm sure you also know that there are a few people that may be indecisive of whether to draft or not to draft. There will still be a few that would want to be anonymous. There will still be a few that want to do it Nicodemously, I don't know if you have a few words for them.
Oh, yes, I think we welcome all that. We know that there are some people, because of the nature of the work they do, they may be working in international organizations where they are not allowed to participate in any political activity. We understand that. So they can pay anonymously. We have that possibility, and I know that for a while there are people who are not totally invested in the struggle for a reason or another. Some maybe because maybe they have all their families in the United States. Some may don't want to get into politics. But I think we've come to a point where some of those who are undecided have discovered that we are actually the true brand, if I can put it that way, the true brand. So some are actually coming and say, okay, I think finally we have discovered that the IG under Dr. Sako is the real thing, and they're helping, and they're helping us. We know them, and I thank all these people for their bravery and their patriotism. You still have some who are actually on the fence. We keep on appealing to them that even if you don't want to participate actively in the struggle, please, we need that support, because we don't know. And there are certain indices that Ambazonians don't really know, because most of the Ambazonians in the United States, you are either a technical person, or you are sub-technical, or you are just a struggling man. There is one thing that I can tell you. America is not a welfare country. It is not, and I can say that again. America is not a welfare country. Whatever you are able to make is the same thing that will take you to your retirement. If you don't have a huge amount of savings, whether it's from 401k, is from Roth IRA, is from IRA, or some sort of annuity, if you don't have enough, you will work till you die. But consider the situation where maybe you can be able to save $200,000 or $100,000. which is chicken feed. I have to tell people here, it's chicken feed. You cannot live on $100,000 when you retire in America. It will evaporate in a very short period of time. You'll go back to work. But with that amount of money, you go to Ambazonia, you will live like a king. Think about that. So, for those people who say, oh, I don't have money, I cannot do this, oh, and yet you are in that lower category of people, most of whom came here through the lottery, you'll be surprised that you'll be thinking about Ambazonia again when retirement comes. Don't tell me I did not tell you. There are very few Ambazonians who can comfortably retire in America. That I can tell you. There are very few lucky ones. A lot of them, they want to go back home. We have to fight to make sure that we all go home and we live happily. But if you think that you were able to secure $1 million minimum in your account, good luck. Maybe you can survive in America. But let me tell you, I know the numbers because I'm a financial expert. I know the numbers. If you don't have, $800, $1 million, forget it. You can't live in America on your retirement.
Wow.
Over to you.
Yes, Dr. Mungwa, I always enjoy the fact that as a former science lecturer in an engineering school, you always speak with specific, encouraging us and giving reasons why Amazonians would have to make that extra commitment, that extra time. As you see the beautiful lady sitting in front of you right now, we've been working today for close to 12 hours because of the importance of communication. We believe that Amazonia has deserved a place in the world of excellence, beauty, and proper communication. This is what our forebears did not enjoy since 1961. They've had a francophonized communication system that limited them and did not give the opportunity for them to communicate. The vision of the president is to give back to Amazonians, to give back to you watching the home front in the diaspora in every available platform today, is to have quality communication in a language that you understand. And I understand that the office of the Secretary of State for Communications and IT has created a unit for the lingua franca of Amazonia, where all the LGAs will express themselves in their local tongue. That program will be coming up on ABC sometime this month of June. Starting, we are working very hard to make sure that all our people come on TV and express themselves. Now, ABC Amba TV is running with your cash. I first of all would like to thank all the board members, all the club members, all the stakeholders, every Ambazonian that is chipping in bigly to make sure that we are top notch and on top. I want to encourage you today, if you unsubscribe on the page, go back to our Facebook, go to our page on www.abcambertv. Go to our page, make sure that you subscribe. There's a minimum monthly donation that you have to give. And we believe every government official and executive is an apology if you have not done so. Go to the issues that were there have been resolved. You've just heard from Dr. Munga. We now have a more secured system of donation. Make sure that you're remitting your donations for ABC Amba TV. Now, why must we donate to keep ABC Amba TV alive? I don't think I have a big explanation for that. Just to make you understand this, the reason we must do that is number one, you've seen what has happened in less than 24 hours. Cameroon media and fake media in Nigeria are trying to give information out. Why? Because communication during wartime is important. In the month of March, Putin hacked into Ukraine media to thwart information. Before it was day done, the entire population around mid-March was confused of information because Putin is aware that the West is fighting the war with the media. And so they get into the media, corrupted information. Fortunately, Ukraine outsmarted them before midday. But this is just to tell you, when you find Cameroon staging a movie, investing our money that they have taken from our resources, they are investing millions of francs CFA to act a movie with Mundi and to stage it. They are paying their proxy forces on the ground, making sure that they send images. It's because of what? There is a mind. They want to use your mind against you to bring in fear. Because one of the instruments of war is using information to create fear. The news room is functioning and going smoothly. Liquid is necessary. You've got to make sure that we do not just communicate to Amazonians. We're communicating to the international community, and we are bent on that project that will keep us in competition with any media house that you can think about it. You've seen the beauty for yourself. The newsroom is preparing bigly, is preparing exceptionally for Saturday. We're gonna get more Amazonians, more county chairs and cabinet members from Thursday, Friday into Saturday. We hope to get Dr. Mungwa and the vice president that has not been interviewed by the newsroom since we began Undaunted. The vice president, we hope to have the vice president address the people of Amazonia, the Secretary of State for Communication again on Saturday. And we're going to beam that will be on air at least 3 hours before the draft begins, so that we bring in the ambience, give to you updates, and start announcing some of the figures. You just heard from Kupe Maninguba today. 11,000 has been drafted. That's amazing. Now, if ABC was non-existent, Chris Anu would have taken us to Yaoundé. Because I can tell you, he's a fast liar. He is a fast liar. I didn't say he's a good liar. He lies quickly. He lies like he breathes, but he's a very poor liar because he lies in the morning and forgets the lie in the evening and then contradicts himself. So we're able to debunk his lies because of ABC Amba TV. You've got to donate for months, several months. ABC Amba TV, you've not heard of breakages in transmission because of donation. That is because the management is standard. We have responsible people at the helm of it. It's no longer a one-man show. Today, you don't have an anchor man that starts from Monday to Sunday and it is the anchor man. Today, every Amazonian has the chance to talk to their people in standard, the beauty of the program. I want to appreciate all of our people watching in the home front. You've been with us now for close to 4 hours listening to Dr. Mungwa. It's almost midnight. We've got to round off this program. I believe the SOS has a last word to say to you in preparation for Saturday, and the anchor ladies will conclude the program. SOS, over to you, please.
Right. Fellow Amazonians, this is the time for draft 2022. I strongly urge you to think about what would happen if we do not get the resources that we need to give to our restoration forces to kick La Republique out of our territory. It will be tantamount to giving them our resources and at the same time becoming slaves in our own country. We cannot allow that to happen. So, on behalf of the interim government, I'm coming here to inform you that there is an opportunity for us to provide the resources that our ARFs need in order to make sure that our sovereignty is assured. We are going in the right direction. We have the international connection. We have the Swiss-led process. We have everything ready for us. But I think the last thing we have to do is to push La Republique out of our country so that we can all meet at the Swiss-led process so that our sovereignty will become reality. In that regard, I'm really appealing to all Ambazonians and friends of Ambazonia for you to come on Saturday for this inauguration and for you to participate by chipping in $1,000 so that we can do the work that we've already promised the people we're going to do by taking our country back and make sure that we go to Buea at the shortest possible time. Thank you very much and good night. Over to you, Paddy.
I think the floor is for the ladies. I am done for tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Martin Mungwa. Thank you. It's always an exciting time with you because, I mean, it's a time where we express ourselves and, of course, enjoy the tone and the strength of the passion you have for Ambazonia getting to Buea. All right, Ambazonians in the home front and in diaspora, of course, You've been with us throughout today on Undaunted. I'm sure that you are enjoying every bit of information that we are bringing to your doorstep. I mean, this is where we draw the curtains for today. I am Oni Okbala.
And I am Star Smart.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft. The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.